I'm not sure who I think I'm going to be able to tell this to or why. But I'd like to talk about where I am with sort of the fundamentals of modern academic philosophy. But I'm not going to start there. But I'll go there fairly soon, I suspect. So, a lot of times I find, and I think this means I'm kind of a philosopher, that, those philosophers I don't like, I must admit, those academic philosophers I don't like, I must admit a grudging respect for, or even para-academic philosophers I don't like, I must admit a grudging respect for, inasmuch as so often they have a strange ability to have. They seem to have a lot of the ones I don't like. They seem to have a strange, uncanny almost grasp of the issues. That the philosophers I tend to more like seem to lack. They're like, they have a better hand on the pulse of their times, or of the times. For there are certain senses in which 2,500 years ago is not that long ago. That's most of the philosophers I have disliked. But there's one that does not fit in that category. It's more like I've come full circle. When I first began studying academic philosophy, like I thought I was having such an original thought by saying that Descartes was simply not being careful enough in how he thought. And I thought that I was like so hip, because I would say, like, he should have said, I seem to think, therefore I seem to be. I literally now think quite reverse, when it turns out that, like, that's everybody's, and they think they're so hip, they're so original or whatever, like, because that's closer to the sort of terminology that would be suggested by, things like general semantics and modern physics or something. They would supposedly suggest that way of stating things. And I thought that I'd discovered, 500 years ago, he didn't know how to use the proper way of saying it and be all cautious about stuff like that. And no, actually, I mean, I have like 3 things I want to say here, and I'm not sure exactly how to do the presentation. But I guess that's the introductory phrase that's going to have to do. Like, that's not where it's at, I think, in fact, with mathematicians, because the closest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Something like that. As in, I think certain circles had already gone through that stage, that whole speak more cautiously stage, and yeah, okay, well, at any rate. But more importantly, it's just a failure to understand where he's coming from. And I'm not sure why, but the fact that you don't know historically that the example, and the correct word is not example, the scenario he uses to explain what he's talking about was like not new. Somehow, knowing that historically that was not new, like somehow that does in fact in ways that I don't understand affect your ability to grasp it. But the scenario he uses is hold it now, is, and to understand where he's coming from with cogito ergo sum, I think therefore I am, is what if a demon is actually what if a demon is actually giving me all my sensory impressions? Okay. At that point, I would not know anything was real, or that's your first quick take. Oh, well, in such a situation, I would not know that anything was real. And it is that to which Descartes replies, no, that's not true. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. By which he means that I know that at least. I know that I am because no demon could send me the notion I think, because that falls apart in one way or the other. Because who would he send it to if you aren't? Perhaps, and I could be wrong on this because it's hard to think and talk at the same time. perhaps he should have. Now I've even lost that whole track of thought. At any rate, the other aspect of what I was trying to say about Descartes. This is an axiom like no axiom has ever been an axiom. It's an axiom like no axiom has ever been an axiom. Because I want to tell you how I came to respect Descartes. I got very interested in an entirely different thought experiment that leads to the same